Good evening and welcome all. On behalf of National Gallery of Modern Art, Bengaluru, I extend a warm welcome to all of you on occasion of World Environmental Day. We are delighted to have you with us for this special lecture, The Many Lives of Cubbon Park, Nature, Memory and Citizen Resistance. Today's speaker, Suresh Jayaram, is an artist, art historian, curator, art administrator, and educator based in Bengaluru. He is the founder and director of visual art collectives and One Shanti Studio, a pioneering artist residency and alternative art space that has nurtured generations of artists and fostered cultural exchange in India and beyond. His work spans art practice, urban mapping, archiving, cultural projections, and art education. Deeply interested in relation between people, place, memory, and the environment, Suresh has long engaged with questions of urban development, heritage, ecology, and public space. These concerns are at the heart of his recent book, Cubbon Park, Citizens, Perspectives, and Many Visions for Future 2026, which forms the basis for today's talk. Through ethnographic research, historical mapping, and public memory, he explores Cubbon Park not merely as a green space, but as a living archive of Bengalore's social, cultural, and environmental history. His lecture invites us to reflect on many community stories and acts of citizen engagement that have shaped his cherished public landscape and continue to influence its future. As we mark World Environmental Day, this evening's lecture reminds us that caring for our environment is also about preserving shared histories, protecting public spaces, and strengthening our connection to places we inhabit. So, on this note, I request everybody to join me in welcoming today's speaker, Mr. Suresh Jayaram. Sir, can I please ask you to please come up on stage? And firstly, I would like to congratulate on your book.
Thank you for coming, and thank you NGMA for calling me. And somebody asked me whether I have a special connection to NGMA or I know special people here. And Darshan made it very clear it's a soul connection. So before I start this particular lecture, I request the folks there to put on the small video, which is just of 5 minutes, that will talk about the people involved in this particular book. Then I'll start with the lecture.
Cubbon Park, I think, not just the lungs of the city, but I think it really is part of our soul.
Because 25 years ago, Cubbon Park was so heaven. It was a heaven actually.
Where you could meet anybody from anywhere, different language, caste, gender, sexuality. It's a collision of cultures.
My memory of it is more a social space.
We just felt it is our own.
For me, Cubbon Park becomes my home because Cubbon Park has brought me certain section of people, except my biological family, Appa Amma Bitto, friends, Samaja Andrenu, police Andrenu, Gunda Andrenu, sex Andrenu, sex work Andrenu.
So this was a library of human beings for me.
ಈ ಥರ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಒಂದನ್ನು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಿ ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಿ ನೋಮಾ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಿಟಿವ್ ಎನಫ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಒಪ್ಪಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಕಾಮನ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್.
I use the word privatization of public space as a way of describing this process.
And slowly they have encroached on the periphery. And what they'll do is they'll come in, and one fine day we're gone.
We have tampered with it in ways which have not talked to each other, and we have grown things which need not necessarily be grown in the park.
It is just has government buildings in it. The government is encroaching in all directions.
From the political masters, from the legislators who wanted to occupy more space.
Vidhan Soda could have been built anywhere else. They didn't have to destroy the Cubbon Park for that.
In India, we don't understand idea of natural parks.
But now there's been a modern perception that Cubbon Park should be level. Issues of privacy are emerging, that you should be able to see everybody.
Or the entire thing of privatization of public space, or the fact that this public means more the government, it doesn't mean the people. And so that distinction seems to be quite strong.
The minute you do that, you're saying don't bring your own food, don't bring families, because families cannot afford to buy that food. The poor are being priced out.
Over the years, the government did not appreciate the concept of a parkland.
Yeah, it's just got a sense of exclusivity. It's not inclusive by any stretch of imagination. Because today when we go to Cubbon Park, we are not able to see or sense that same kind of diversity of publics that we once did, you know.
We always say, oh, we have a Constitution of India that talks about the right to equality, the right to freedom, the right to life. But what is it that enables the realization of these rights?
Let them sleep there if they want to. Let them read a book without being bothered.
The beauty of restriction. The more you restrict, passages keep opening out somewhere or the other.
So nobody is trying to solve the question of what prevents violence from occurring. Preventing violence from occurring is harmony, cohesion, and more freedom, and a way in which there is care and nurturance built into the fabric, the social fabric of the city.
ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಉಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಲಾಲ್ಬಾಗ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ.
We never got a favorable judgment because we are fighting against the court.
Like they will say that, oh, these people are against progress. They don't want any change and it's all vested interests and they want everything to remain static.
Democracy dies if you don't have spaces like this.
ಇವಾಗ ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಗಾಳಿ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಹೇಳಿ? ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಗಳು ಲಾಯರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಲಾಯರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ MLAಗಳಿಗೆ, ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ವಿಧಾನಸೌಧಕ್ಕೆ, ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕೋದು ಆ ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂದಾನೆ.
ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಇನ್ನ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಹೊಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇರೋಂಥ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಕಾಪಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಲಾಲ್ಬಾಗ್ ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಇದ್ರು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
You can't save something that you don't love, and you can't love what you don't know. Something that will be beautiful enough to fight for, and Cubbon Park has been that, worth fighting for. Yeah.
So these are the characters in my book. So they are, some of them very, very exciting, some of them known to all of you all, some of them totally unknown, like Mr. Nanjappa is retired already. So he's a chief gardener. I believe he came there and he was getting something like 30 rupees per month as a salary or something. So I just bumped into the friend who gave me these images or led me to where these images are. I think even the government doesn't know that these images exist. Chandan, who's here. And the important fact that it's in an archive abroad. And this is probably the story of Cubbon Park, like why it was built or how it was built. Yeah. Just to tell you that, can any of you tell me where this is, or all of you have seen Mark Cubbon's statue in the park, but this is not in the park. Yes, it is the parade ground, yeah. So it's come a long way from the parade ground to the back of the High Court and now in front of the bandstand. So these are some of the early etchings where this was the most important monument of the city to commemorate Mark Cubbon. Incidentally, Mark Cubbon never saw Cubbon Park. He left India, he back to England. He passed away as he was crossing the Suez Canal on board, and it was called Meads Park. Later on, it was called Cubbon Park. And if I tell you I'll meet you at Chamarajendra Park, I don't think you'll come to the right place. So even though it was named Chamarajendra Park, Udyanavana, we still call it Cubbon Park. And every day or every minute, somebody utters the word Cubbon in Bangalore, saying that they say stay in Cubbanpet, or they want to meet you in Cubbon Park, or cross Cubbon Park, or cross Cubbon Road, etc. So he's perpetually there in our memory, whether we like it or not. And I believe he was one of the most loved British officers of this land. So before I go further and go on this nostalgic route, which everybody loves about Bangalore, I'll just read out something which are part of the book, and this is part of Harini Nagendra's forward. She says the people who visit Cubbon Park and have been involved in shaping its modern identity are as rich and varied in identity, perception, and nature of interactions with the park. In an increasingly unequal city, whose residents are occupied with the business of living, we often fail to appreciate the diversity around us, ecological as well as human. And this becomes especially critical when we think of how to better design our public spaces to create a more accessible, green, livable, and equitable city. A city where Cubbon Park is as much a home for its slender lorises and kites as it is for the gardeners who keep the park alive, the temple priests who feed the homeless, the transgender communities who find a place for solace within, and the walkers, joggers, and the pet owners who visit the park every day. Beyond its natural beauty, Cubbon Park has always been a dynamic hub for citizens and politicians. And especially when you go there in the afternoon, it's overtaken by lawyers and judges because of the High Court. Serving as a political center, a seat of justice, and repository of historical artifacts. Artists draw inspiration from its landscapes. One most prominent person is Rumale Channabasvaya, who did a lot of landscapes of the park and which forms a large body of his own work. And its cultural richness is evident in the stone edicts preserved in the museum. The museum has some of the most important stone edicts, the government museum, which is under restoration but will be open soon, as well as this very old Arlikatte. Arlikatte is a people tree platform which is there as you enter the park from the Hudson Circle. And if you enter the Hudson Circle, to the right is this Arlikatte. That is the maybe still part of the Pete area, which is part of the former villages. These sacred spaces, particularly near the southern entrance, are intrinsically linked to the Karaga Jatre and the water bodies in the park. The presence of the Hudson Circle, numerous dargahs, mosques, Jain temples in the vicinity highlight the area's rich diversity. Cubbon Park is the living testament to the diverse individuals who have shaped Bangalore's unique identity. It embodies the open-hearted spirit of Bangaloreans, fostering dialogue, reflection, and collective action against greed and prejudice. This cherished gathering space represents a shared heritage and memories deserving of protection, a resounding chorus that proclaims, "Leave the park alone." As we look back at the historical context of the cultural geography of Cubbon Park to unravel the complex narratives that make this palimpsest of a garden, we see it is a layered one. And as we dig into the gravel, the core as we hit the ancient subterranean rock. So I think the oldest thing in the park is, this is the photograph I was mentioning about. I think very historical and very important. So the first thing that ever was planned was the Atara Kacheri. The British wanted to organize the government offices, Atara as the number says, from the Tipu's palace where the British operated to this particular place. And once this was built, and look at the land, it is barren almost. So everything is layered and cultivated and very, very organized. And this is so important because this aligns with the government museum. And you can see the axis. So this is called the colonial axis, or I call it the colonial axis. And everybody knows what color it is, right? Why was it painted this red oxide color? I believe he is very smart, Mr. Sankey, who's the name you know remember because of the lake. He found out that red oxide does not weather because of climatic conditions. Now they've got it wrong. They've used a darker shade, which is synthetic, but the real red oxide, which is an oxide color, is most effective and covers a larger body of architecture. And this is common sense, and he used it well. And all the buildings in Cubbon Park have this terracotta red oxide color. We all have seen it in different avatars, but this is the original image. Incidentally, this is from, as you can see, it's from a family album. Extremely private family album. And I'm sure all of you have seen this in a different way, but this is how it looked like. I think we're the only city in India that still respects the Queen and the King. And I mean, they're part of history. I won't be speaking to you in English if they were not here. And these are all, again, postcards, thanks to my friend Claire Arney, who's been very generous, giving me access to a father's collection. And these were collected in London. And these were the iconic images of Bangalore, which people sent home from Bangalore to other places in the world. This is a very quaint picture. Don't photograph, they are available on the net if you search. It's not in the book, incidentally. So, but you can just look up the way. And what you see there is St. Mark's Cathedral. And very interesting demographics of how the landscape is laid out. And there's a queen statue over there. There is an English couple and a native couple here. Almost tells you why Cubbon Park was made. They needed a buffer zone between the natives. They felt that the Pete area was very unhygienic. They wanted this buffer zone, and I believe there was a kind of a restriction to come from the Pete area to the cantonment area. And you were stopped and asked, why are you entering this place? And you had to get back without mixing with the Firangs, get back home before it's 6 o'clock or something. So here is the shift that is happening. So this Mr. Cubbon has trotted from parade ground to Cubbon Park. Again, another postcard. So if you ever visit the park again, I'm sure you will try to look at all these clues. And what was most significant is the urn which you see in front, which is a Grecian urn which has two rams. Aries is a sign of spring, so it is a very auspicious time where spring emerges, and it is a gift from Sankey. It still exists, still there, and it is right in the center of this axis. Unrecognizable. No, this is not the public library. This is the High Court itself. If you imagine 120 years ago that you're walking from the behind the government museum towards the High Court, and there's no fountain, there's no bandstand, nothing, and you reach the High Court. So you know the Venkatappa Art Gallery, and so this was where it was in an island, so it doesn't exist. So this was a water body, and it was called Bamboo Island, thanks to that man sitting there. And that is the landmark museum which was there. That's the most prominent building in Bangalore. This is another unaccessible space, the residency. It is the Raj Bhavan, and it is in the High Point. You know, there's a building called High Point. So that is supposed to be the highest point in Bangalore, where if rain falls, it falls there and goes down. So High Point is called High Point, and that's where it was supposed to be the bungalow of Mark Cubbon, where he lived with 50 horses. And there's some very interesting stories about him. So again, private album discovered and given to me by a friend. This was a style at that time. Hedges, lawns, and also these pathways. And you can see the urn in the corner. Another of the archival photographs. So this is the beginning of the park. Building the High Court, building the museums, gradually commissioning a place like where people can gather, that is the bandstand. So this is the postcards of the Pete, maybe Dod Pete, Chik Pete. Everybody almost misses this, but this is the water body which is very, very significant for the Pete people. So when Cubbon Park was made, that they did not, they kept this Karagada Kunte as it is. Even today, the Tigala community comes from the Dharmaraja temple. The Karaga rituals happen here, the Hasi Karaga, I think. And from here onwards, that they start the festivities. So there's some rituals that happen in the park. So it is a sacred garden or a sacred grove for them. And Sampangi tank is just on the other side of the Bund. You are driving on the Bund when you're going there. So this is the rituals that happen in the Karagada Kunte. That is an image from the Karaga festival that happens. Okay, can anybody guess where this is shot from? It's in cantonment, it's not the Pete area. You've seen this place 1,000 times. Yes. Your back is at the Opera Theatre and you're looking at the church. St. Patrick's Cathedral. Close up of the urn, and it also says 1876. So this was like a gift from Sankey to the city, and he's commemorating it. And behind you see the UB city and Malya's house, etc., etc. So this is something that I wanted you to see. I took my niece made this for me, and I asked her to draw this axis. So if the Chief Justice is sitting in the center of the High Court, like the Speaker sits in the Vidhan Saudha. So the Vidhan Saudha obviously came later. Then the people's down here is the red spot over here is the overhead view of the bandstand. Then it passes to the Government Museum. So this becomes a very, very important axis for connecting the judiciary with the government and the people. So what happens in this, what used to happen in these bandstands is very, very interesting. I think the tastes of people have changed, and also the way that we invite people to come and engage has also changed. So this is another axis. This is an axis which is, I think we can call it the people's axis, because it starts with the library, goes straight down to Hudson Circle. Again, just stolen from the net. It's an aerial view. I can't take an aerial view photograph. But look at the density of trees. This is again Vidhana Vidhi, which is another very important place. I think the Chief Minister was sworn in there. So we can't avoid Cubbon Park. So it's just there in our veins. The most important person on which the park is also named is Chamarajendra Odiyar. And there is this very, very important location where the statue is. And interestingly, it's carved by G.K. Matre, a very important Marathi sculptor from the J.J. School of Art. And just in front of it is a fountain. And just next to it is the tennis stadium. The people who are behind the scene but are very, very prominent, of Krishna Rajendra Wadiyar, at the same time Mirza Ismail, who believed that parks and gardens are very important for as public spaces. And he was a Diwan of Mysore, and he was very instrumental in negotiating with architects, with urban planners, etc., to create Mysore and Bangalore. Here are portraits of Mark Cubbon and Mr. Sankey, Richard Haram Sankey. This is Mr. Javaraya, who was part of the horticulture department. I believe he said that we should plant fruiting trees in Bangalore, in Cubbon Park. That still exists, but also interesting thing that if people are hungry, they can eat fruit. But you're not supposed to cut it, but this was an idea or a vision. Another famous personality, the German horticulturist, was involved in making of the garden. And if you stand in front of the Chamarajendra statue and look towards the road that hits Coffee Day, you will see similar kind of trees growing on both sides. And they are planted by Krumbigal, who is known for serial blossoming, planting specific trees that bloom at certain times. And just behind Chamarajendra statue are different kinds of trees that kind of exhibit the idea of serial blossoming, like gulmohars, which are blue, gulmohars that are red, jacarandas that are purple and blue, and tabubias that are yellow, etc. Here is a person people would have missed. His name doesn't exist in the diaries because he was Jewish German, living in Bangalore, and he did something very, very interesting. He was in charge of doing a lot of buildings in Bangalore, bringing in a very German aesthetic into Bangalore. And the most important building that he kind of designed was the what we call as a Bal Bhavan, but it's called the Victory Hall. Another maker of Bangalore, I think Bangalore is what it is because of Sheshadri Iyer, was in charge of the Shivan Samudram project, bringing in electricity to the city at 1905. Also the story of it going to KGF, etc. So Bangalore had electricity before many of the other Asian towns or cities. Here is again Google search find. This is supposed to be the Queen of Nepal. Very blurry image, but this is what I could get. She is the Rani of Bajang. The story goes that she asked Mirza Ismail that she had a parrot and she wanted him to take care of the parrot after her death. So Mr. Ismail said that don't worry, there's an aviary in Lal Bagh, I'll put it there, etc. She donated 5,000 rupees at that time to Mirza Ismail, and he made the fountain in her name, what you see today. Another very significant person, RB, whose RBNMS, Plaza Theatre, etc., was named. From humble beginnings to being one of the contractors for the High Court, Narayan Swamy Mudaliar, Arcot Narayan Swamy Mudaliar, also was a big promoter of nationalism at that particular time. These we can't miss. Again, the pink cassias behind are not accidental. They are there for a specific reason to highlight Mr. Edward, who was also a flamboyant character in his life. This is a rare image I found. Stunning image. Not in the book again, and it is part of somebody's archive or some picture in the 1950s or earlier, I don't know, but this is why a people's park is there, for people to gather, to people to come together. Somebody remember these guys who used to play the band in next to the rock, which is on the other side, closer to the. We'll come back to you for some memories, but these were the rock bands that used to play a lot of hit songs of those days. The very famous landmark, about to fall apart anytime, the Cubbon Park. And a lot of people from the book have mentioned the Cubbon Park police station for many reasons, saying that they were beaten up over there, locked up over there, and whatever. And they used to, one of the people interviewed, I think from Vimochana, said that they used to keep screaming, coffee beko, chitrana beko, or something, and the cops used to get them coffee and whatever. And let them go because they were protesting against something or the other. Cubbon Park was a place for protests. And now conveniently the government has said that we will give you a place to protest very far away. That is the Freedom Park. And nobody will see you there. So they've shifted all the protests to the Freedom Park. Here are the protesters. Mostly from Women in Black and Vimochana. Something that I think adults love it more than children. This Putani Express where this toy train goes around the Bal Bhavan. And everybody starts screaming when it goes into the tunnel. This is the memory of the park for many adults and kids. Okay, this is another classic image. This is supposed to be Cubbon Park. So according to one of the interviewees, Mr. Singh, he said that it was supposed to be this rambling garden where there were few trees, there's a lot of lawns, etc. Then one fine day, as you know, Mr. Singh used to be from the Vedant Sauda terrace, was looking down and told somebody that I think we should plant some trees. So that guy got so excited that he planted too many trees. So from Cubbon Park, it became Cubbon Forest. So we have more trees over here. You can see Seshadri Iyer statue over there. I think so. This is what I found. I thought it'll be very interesting to see how it has changed. So this is a gathering of farmers behind the library. So it's in the Ringwood Circle. It's called the Ringwood Circle. This is from the Deccan Herald archive. Okay, this is Dr. Rajkumar. Again, very iconic meeting, him addressing people. Incidentally, after his capture, he was also, he addressed a meeting in the same place, I think. He's facing the High Court. This is the earliest map, one of the earliest maps of Cubbon Park, and also again, it's important for us to know that the Pete and the cantonment were two different cities. There were, and the Cubbon Park was literally kind of dividing them, but also indirectly now it's connecting them. So it depends on your social status and where you live that you enter the park. Whether you're coming from Cotton Pate or Cubbon Pate or from Tiglarapete, Nagaratapete, etc., or you're coming this side from Shanti Nagar, Richmond Town, or high grounds. So your class and your privileges also matter sometimes. But eventually, you're just a walker or a jogger when you come to this very democratic space. This is that small temple that you see. It's like a shrine. It's Arali Katte. So there's a very interesting man who I think is Mr. Krishnappa. He does some voluntary feeding of people. He cooks a meal in the evening through volunteers, and every day people are just fed with this meal. Whoever you are, as you pass by, and I've seen people getting their boxes and filling up this one pot dish, whether it's a bisibele bath or uppittu or something like that. And it is a kind of a community kind of thing that happens. Yes. From the Hudson Circle side, Corporation Kadeinda. He says that he cannot do, there are restrictions that he cannot build a bigger temple, and he has to be undercover. These kind of activities are not encouraged, but actually the colonial powers had taken over the agricultural land to start Cubbon Park. I believe there was also an akada in Cubbon Park those days. We don't know where, but there's supposed to be an akada in Cubbon Park. It might be somewhere near Century Club, etc. Somebody told me what we see today as a dog park was a place where cows were kept, just in front of the Century Club. So this is the new avatar with the brand new, I think, roof. But the same guys who kind of were given orders to bring this from Britain, McFarlane and co. They are people in Glasgow who manufactured these garden design equipment. Like the glass house is also made by them, fountains, etc. So it used to be shipped all the way from England to Chennai, and from Chennai it comes via the train here, and even the some railway stations in Chennai have the same pattern from the same place. So this is a photograph I've taken some 30 years, 25 years ago, when you could walk into the High Court without security, and you could see this access from the High Court. And obviously we know that the Vidhan Saudha has this great slogan which says government's work is God's work. You have to be very serious, you can't laugh, because this is just written there, like carved in granite. Everybody knows this iconic space. It was formerly used by the British like a club. Later on, I think Mr. Vishweshwaraya took charge and named it after Sheshadri Iyer, and now it's a library. But there is a problem here. You can't park your vehicles anywhere close by. So people coming to the library have stopped coming because you have to park your vehicles outside Cubbon Park and walk into it. So what we've not figured out is parking space also. You have all these restrictions about don't park here or don't hold hands or don't sit here or stand there, but you can't figure out where you're going to have parking for people who want to really come and research or read in this library. And you've not gone inside, please go in. It's quite a spectacle to see this library. Even if you don't want to read, just go inside. You'll be forced to read. It's a fabulous kind of a space. Okay, some of you might have seen this. It's hidden, but it has a very, very interesting history. Mr. Lancelot Ricketts owned this particular bungalow, and around it he owned a farm where he grew cotton. He was rearing sheep, and this was his fabulous bungalow, which was again sold to the Maharaja's family. Then now the Postmaster General used it as an office. It's in front of Maharani's College and the edge of the park. So the park has shrunk in many ways. Okay, this is this particular building. I think old Bangaloreans might remember it. It was on Kasturba Gandhi Road, and the very famous Kenneth Anderson, who used to be a hunter, used to live here. I believe it was given to him by Mark Cubbon, this particular bungalow to stay in. And he's also written a lot of famous stories about hunting in and around Bangalore. And his son, I think, was part of a film, Hollywood film. So currently it is, I think Prestige Obelisk is built on this particular building. And I believe Kasturba Gandhi Road was called Sydney Road. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Why was it called Sydney Road? I don't know. Another very beautiful building behind the Century Club, the revenue offices. And if you have the time to stop, or if you're walking, go and see the insignia on top. You have the Ganda Berunda and you have the British lion on top. Right? This is at the famous KR Circle, where you can't stand, or you can't, unless you're walking, you can't stop and take this particular picture. This is Otto Kunisberger's Victory Hall. You might remember as a child, you might have gone there to see a puppet show or a film, or there used to be small film festivals happening here, or somebody has a birthday around it. There used to be a toy museum in the periphery of this. It is in the Bal Bhavan. All that thing that is outside is not, which is Kunisberger's idea, the red kind of. The variety of chairs, but I think what is rock solid are these granite ones in the bottom. And the one here that is broken has an insignia on it. It is a very important person, Lady Albin Banerjee seat, it's called. Because Albin Banerjee was the Diwan of Mysore and also of Kochi. There's an Albin Banerjee road in Kochi. And interesting part was Mr. Albin Banerjee almost lived in the Century Club till he passed away. And Madam Banerjee was a bit flamboyant, and she had a lot of tea parties there. And in her memory, she had this particular seat, which is circular. And I think they've propped it up now. Otherwise, it's part of the dog park. These are called the Maharaja seats, and that's the one on top is the classic seat made up of terrazzo, which still exists, but I think that's a very standard, seat over there. But now things have changed. This is the most famous whaleback rock, Peninsula Knees. It's the same rock that you see in Lal Bagh. I told this young kid that you'll be in my book, but I think the editor chopped him off. So, but he's there in the slideshow. So this is the Ringwood Circle and very famous photography spot for a lot of people. The rock again. So here is another old photograph where water was very, very significant, and you have this water tanker drawn by bullocks from the Venkatappa gallery moat. So the Sunita, who took all these beautiful pictures, is in the audience, and she'll tell you how she managed to look at all this, take all these pictures on a mobile phone, and we were so excited that we have 2 pages of it. All this are another life in Cubbon Park that we generally kind of forget to see. Here is a huge crowd on Sundays. These are some images that are part of the book, so I'm just quickly going to show you part of the museum. The other side is from KR Market. We had to put it there because to connect the market, the Karaga and Cubbon Park. That is some festivities of Annamma, which was the goddess of the city. These are the fabulous trees. I believe the first silver oak trees were planted in Cubbon Park, according to Vijay Tiruvadi, who is also in the book. Late Vijay Tiruvadi, some of you remember him or might have gone for a walk with him. This is Cubbon Park by night, lit by the Chinnaswamy Stadium lights when there's a cricket match. These 2 trees are closer to the Hudson Circle, and I think they are about 400 or 500 years old. They're almost dead and gone. So they are people trees, and they form a cluster of trees which are part of a sacred grove in the park. Few kind of glimpses of things happening in the park. That is another iconic people tree which you could recognize in the park. This is a map. We took references from many other maps. So we made it a kind of a inside cover where you open it up in the book, but it's also like celebrating the map of the park, especially made by a cartographer. Thank you very much, and need to acknowledge Harshita, who's here, who put this PowerPoint presentation together. Any questions? Happy to answer. It is part of the residence. I think it's closer to the residence. But also they say that there were Dasara celebrations happening there. I don't know, but this is what I hear because of this flat land over there.
Slide खत्म हो गया slide.
Yes. If you've ever been to the residency, as in the governor's garden, the garden kind of ends at the parking lot of Vidhan Sauda. Yes, then you have a sudden. It was carved out, and they made sure that it is aligned to the High Court. Came back and to.
Where did he live?
No. He came back to see his father or grandfather. He might have lived in one of the bungalows, but I don't know about the story. But his grandsons came back to check on who Mark Cubbon is. Yes, the place. Yeah. There is also in Lalbagh there was a golf course, I believe, and somebody got hit by a golf ball and complained, and they stopped the golf course. As it was also an extension of the race course, so the horses used to come down, and I believe there used to be hound hunts in Cubbon Park, where the hounds used to chase rabbits, etc., and people used to, the Britishers used to hunt hounds. A very fascinating thing about the park is the Rani Bagh, Queen's Park, the king and queen connected by oval-shaped park with the fake Ashoka trees lining it. That is a very, very interesting landscape. They were fighting with each other, I think. But mostly it's the cantonment. Before independence, uh, they were there because they were building all these. They were building all the Alsur, the Madras sappers. They were there before independence. And I have a fascinating story that on Cubbon Road there used to be a person who used to hoist the Union Jack, and on his speaker used to play the anthem of England, and the local kids used to throw stones at his house.
उसको कम करके रखो थोड़ा.
I don't have an answer, but if you are a officer there, you want to have a golf course everywhere.
Golf courses everywhere.
What is the imagination now of public spaces um, in terms of is there a movement or a, because the city needs many more public spaces than we have.
So, in one sentence, gentrification is the new colonialism. I mean, we need more Cubbon Parks because the city has grown so much. But you can't have these strict rules. You need to also, I mean, give freedom but with responsibility.
I was actually, am I audible? I was actually surprised when you said, Sir Vishwesharya, what do you call, put up the statue of Diwan Sheshadri Iyer.
No, he didn't put the statue there. I think he was responsible to change because he started Century Club, as you know, but at the same time, which is also in a land which is in Cubbon Park. But I believe the public library was used by the British officers as an entertainment space.
No, because the public library and the statue was put up in 1905 on the instructions of Lord Curzon to Lord Hardinge, who was there at that time. He was the Governor General. He was, I mean, not Governor General, what is it? Viceroy. Viceroy. And and it was inaugurated by, and the letter to Lord Hardinge from Lord Curzon had these words. If I have some time, I'll read out these words, a few words. He has suggested the statue of Diwan Sheshadri Iyer to be put up. 1 minute. He said, I hold very strongly to the view that the deeds and services of great men should be honored by public commemoration in the place where they served, not merely as a posthumous compliment to themselves, but as an example and stimulus to the others. there can be no question that the Maharani and Maharaja of the Mysore state owe a debt of lasting gratitude to Sir K. Sheshadri Iyer, whose abilities and labor are largely due to the flourishing condition in which the young chief takes over the administration. This was in a letter from Lord Curzon to Lord Hardinge. The statue was unveiled in 1913, and which on that date, Lord Hardinge said, Sir Sheshadri Iyer himself rose from the very lowest rung of the official ladder, and after he had climbed step by step, his outstanding merit marked him out for the office of the Diwan, and at that time, when the task was not an easy one, for the country had not yet begun to recover from the severest of famines of the last half century.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So, yes, I mean, everybody likes to be in the center. So it's very interesting in the conversation with Chiranjeev Singh. He says that we've built a city in a way that we all want to get out of the city on weekends. So all the areas are jammed towards the airport, north, south, east, west, because we can't stay in the city. But at the same time, we can't stay without Cubbon Park. From what I know, I think the horticulture department is making these JP Park and so many other things. But the problem is all these cultural activities happen in the center of town. And even the marathons happen in Cubbon Park, not in JP Park or wherever. Yes, yes. I think it was there before Cubbon Park. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They occupied that land which belonged to the Pete area, I think. Yes. I don't know the date, but there have been instances where traffic was stopped, again started. It's now stopped on Sundays and Saturdays, I think, or on public holidays.
Suresh,
Yes.
yeah, traffic has always been there, right
Yes.
from the beginning. You had the carriages, hackney carriages, and then, the jail road used to be inside that thing. So it used to be an intersection space, right?
So one of the interesting phenomenon which has started for the last 2 years, on Saturdays we have a reading club. So you'll see a lot of youngsters flocking to the park and carrying books, and we all sit there and read. At 1 o'clock, we all get together to the books there. Anyone can pick it up. That is happening every Saturday.
These are good things that are happening in the park. I think there are
Yes,
more
every Saturday.
activities which are there. I think skaters and yeah, yeah. There isn't anything that doesn't happen in Cubbon Park. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Just wanted to ask you, first, thanks for Lal Bagh, the book on Lal Bagh, and now Cubbon Park. Thank you so much. And I wanted to ask you, although both are written with different perspectives, completely different, what was your experience as an author, and what was your process, and how is that different for both the books?
Interesting question where the methodology of both these books, the previous book being Lal Bagh, is that it was more personal in the Lal Bagh book, but here I was trying to collect these oral narratives of citizens and their perspectives about the city and the garden. So it was like me being a sutradhar connecting all these stories together. So I deliberately chose the idea of conversation with these 26 people who are part of Bangalore, are part of the park, and have something to say about the park in their own perspectives. So it's multiple perspectives about one particular area. So this was my initial idea. So it started off with interviews, then editing them into a book. And the designer also thought it should also look different. So that was his idea of representing it. He said that nothing from the Lal Bagh book should be in this book. The design, the concept, the idea, etc. So it's a different take on a different aspect of the city. And also people think it is a micro history of Bangalore, etc. So I said, yes, I can't change that. It is about it is not only about Bangalore, it's about one specific area. And the book is not published by a publisher, etc. It is crowdsourced and published, and technically it is not for sale. But you like how NGOs need to figure out how to sustain their research, you have to donate to the bookshops and get the book. Most popular bookshops. I'm not supposed to do shop talk in NGMA, but please find out this book is not yet been launched. I've come here to talk about our most beloved space, Cubbon Park, on the World Environment Day. So please take it as a curtain raiser. I said this is one place that has fancy curtains still remaining in Bangalore. So it's thanks to NGMA, the director, Darshan and everybody else who kind of made this happen. So the book is going to be launched on 16th. So you figure out how much is going to cost and what it looks like later on. Thank you very much for being here. You don't have to thank me. This will be going against the. Oh, this is. Darshan says, show the book. So this is how the book looks like. It doesn't look like the previous book. So interestingly, the map is here inside. Venkatappa Art Gallery in Cubbon Park. Evening, I think 5-ish. Yeah, it's open to everybody. Again, you can't sell a book in Venkatappa Art Gallery, but we'll figure out how we can reach it to you.
So, would like to thank Suresh Jayaram for being here with us and enlightening on our space, and also to realize that it is our space on the Environmental Day. And it is the understanding that we humans are not only existing on this world. So now it is a time where you have to understand what is coexisting. So thank you, sir. And with this, I would like to give a small token of appreciation from our art shop. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, if you're wondering why it is so small, he has most of the portfolios from our collection. So, I mean, many times he has come. So, thank you, sir. So before we wrap up, please join us tomorrow. We have the extended celebration or observation of World Environmental Day. We have the Experience Center, which is right above the art shop, a new space which has been created, which is followed by Rivers of Bengaluru to understand more about how the water source is, we used to have in Bangalore and how it is now. So tomorrow in that celebration, they have come up with a new experience center, that is heat experience. So how does heat, affect our existence or day-to-day life, and how we have to address it? So it will start at 4 o'clock with a gallery guided walk on heat experience. It will be for half an hour from 4 to 4:30, followed by screening on SFC's audio-visual exhibit, Making the Invisible Visible, Indoor Heat, Unpaid Domestic Work, and Women's Resilience. And coming back at 5 o'clock, discussion on exhibit and Heat Watch Foundation's research on heat stress among domestic workers in Bengaluru with Geeta Menon, co-founder of Stress Jagruti Smithy and Secretary Workers' Rights Union, and other panelists. So please do join us tomorrow, and thank you on that note. Have a good weekend and enjoy it. Thank you.